Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would like to take this opportunity to address a question that I have received from a number of viewers and friends over, say, the last month or so. And it's a really good question because it really goes at the heart of cinema watching and film consumption, in particular this year of 2020, which has been, as you know, a very hectic and stressful year due to many reasons, but of course due to the current world health crisis that is still, as of now, ongoing. So the question that I received from a number of friends and viewers, and let me paraphrase, is how has the current world health crisis situation of this year 2020 affected your way of watching or consuming cinema, if at all? So how has this year affected my viewing habits of watching cinema? I thought that was a really interesting question. For me, and I acknowledge that maybe my own situation might differ from that of others, and I think we all each have our own individualized journeys and our own individualized situations, and so I'm sure maybe we are all acting and reacting in our own individual ways. But for me personally, I can say that I think on the one hand, it has the current situation has, of course, made me rely a lot on watching films on physical media. And also, I think it has, in a maybe a subliminal way, encouraged me or made me want to watch and rewatch with much more frequency a lot of films that I already have on disc. So I think I have, therefore, over the course of, say, the past few months or so, I have found myself watching a lot of films over and over again. And so the frequency of my rewatches, I would say, has increased somewhat. And that also means that I'm not watching as many new films as I did before. Now, before, as you may know, I've mentioned it on a number of occasions in the past, but I personally am not so good with watching recent film releases, and so I'm very bad when it comes to recent new releases, say for award season and the like. So I've never been very good with that. But I think in particular this year I've been especially poor when it comes to trying to watch recent releases. And that's also due, I think, it's linked to the flip side of that, which is on the other hand, I've been focusing more on watching and rewatching a lot of the films that I have seen before. And I think it has also meant that it's enabled me to try to apply different readings to films. I mean, as we know, multiple viewings can become very rewarding in and of themselves, and they allow for different takes on the same work, and they can really become very enriching and very insightful, because it enables one to catch things that one otherwise would not have been able to catch on, say, one or two viewings at most. So I've been doing that a lot with a number of films over the past several months, I would say, and I've been enjoying that immensely. And so my own film journey, I think, is, at least as far as this year is concerned, traversed a lot of terrain that I have already traversed, so to speak. But it's maybe, to put it another way, although I have traversed the same terrain before, perhaps doing it again enables me to find different avenues or different little corners of earth or different little details of the environment that I would not have otherwise been able to catch. And so I find it to be extremely rewarding in that regard. And as far as consumption goes as well, I think my family as a whole has been, I have children, so my children in particular have been watching a lot of movies and entertainment on streaming services. I don't have a lot of streaming services, but I do have subscriptions to a couple here in Japan, and so those have been utilized by our family quite a lot, with a lot more frequency than usual over the past several months, in order to, say, access family entertainment films or series or the like. And so that's been a lot of fun. And I've been I've been able to watch a lot of shows and maybe animation works and the like with my children. And so that's allowed me also for a lot of discovery along the way, and that's been very enjoyable for me. So and I think my children also have been enjoying that very much. That's generally, I would say, the directions in which my own viewing habits have been affected, if at all, by the current world health crisis. I would say finally too that, just as a personal note, I don't know how you feel, but whenever I'm watching a film now, I can't help but really notice with a lot more directness those scenes in films that have a lot to do with human interaction, the interaction between people as depicted in cinema, handshakes, up close and personal type of framing of shots. Sometimes you have characters in close proximity and that sort of thing, which is, I think, something that I notice immediately, because this notion of proximity between people and human contact, like handshakes, that of course is very much on the forefront of my mind because of the current world health crisis and these little things that I would have taken for granted prior to the crisis erupting. And now that we are in the midst of it and it's still not over, these little details really stand out. And I don't know about you. For example, there was the recent Criterion Collection release of Parasite, the Bong Joon-ho film Parasite. And there are some scenes, I'll try to be as vague as possible here, but there are some scenes that actually involve close proximity of characters, and sometimes this kind of human interaction like a handshake or other type of greeting or touch. And I think in some aspects of the audio commentary track that is included with the Criterion release, in fact, Bong Joon-ho and also film scholar and expert Tony Raines were talking about this aspect of certain scenes in Parasite and how they probably are somewhat unthinkable now, given the current world health crisis, and how we all have been affected by notions of the importance of maintaining a certain level of distance and foregoing or not carrying out acts of human contact that would have otherwise been second nature prior to the world health crisis, like handshakes and the like. And so it's very interesting to hear those comments in that audio commentary, which is recently made, by the way. And then to hear that really drove the point home for me that actually when I watch other films as well, I tend to notice those little details as little things that used to be part of the daily fabric of daily life, so to speak, that now are things that we cannot carry out because of certain health-related restrictions that need to be in place in order to maintain our health. And so those are really interesting for me, and they really, as I say, drive the point home as to the things that I took for granted as far as social communication and interaction goes, and how that has really changed in terms of the daily landscape of our lives, given this year of 2020. So I tend to notice those little details more and more as I watch films, even the ones that I feel like I'm familiar with. So it's an interesting little effect, if you will, based on the current world situation as it is. But with that, I suppose, then I can turn the question to you and ask you, my dear friends, how has this current year affected your viewing habits or your film consumption, if at all? Do you find yourselves watching certain types of films over others? Do you find yourselves relying on certain formats of film consumption over others? For instance, physical media versus streaming. Do you find that other aspects of your viewing habits and cinema watching have been affected or altered, if at all, because of certain circumstances that we find ourselves in during this year? I think it's a very it's an area that was very personal and very individual to our own situations and needs and our own personal ways of consuming and viewing and watching things. So if you have experienced any kind of change or alteration to your viewing habits, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd really be interested to hear what it is you have to say about this. Because as I say, this year has been very much a strange and hectic one, and it has affected all of us in our own ways. And so even when it comes to cinema watching, I think we have felt the impact each in our own way. And so if it's okay, as I say, I'd be very interested to hear what it is you might have to say in regards to this question. Okay, my friends, so with that, of course, let me say finally, and perhaps most importantly, that as always, I wish all of you nothing but the best, and I wish you all, a profound sense of wellness, and I hope that you are in good spirits, and that you are taking very good care of yourselves and your health and your well-being and those of your family and friends and loved ones, because this is, after all, the most important thing that we must take care of. So I hope things are well with you in those regards. And once that has been taken care of course, I hope that you watch a lot of great movies. So thank you so much, as always, for your time. Once again, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.